Well, hi, and thank you very much for joining me in my shop for another another round. I think this is video number 23. That's the sound of me slapping my forehead. 23 videos on this radio. And, mostly that's because of my lack of familiarity with, this vintage of radio. So I've been struggling along on probably what are some pretty simple things. And the big deal today is A, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with this radio today. Number two, I am no longer going to be using these crummy power supplies like that. Now, this is not too bad, this one here, but here's the one that then when I was presented with the radio, I was handed this one. It's another one of these variable wall plug type power supplies. And take a look at this too. This is and I didn't use this, but this is the power that it came with. Now, can you see what somebody did there? They just took one of these four-way guys and soldered the lead onto one of them, the one that's opposite to the one they use. So, I mean, we can assume this is done correctly, and whoever did this paid attention to polarity, but you know what? In thinking about what's gone wrong with this radio, one possibility is the power was plugged into it with the polarity in reverse. And why is that? Why is that? Well, that's because of how these things are made. And this one here, you change polarity by reversing this plug. You plug it this way or you plug it that way. Now really, how easy is it to get it backwards at some point, somewhere along the line, and plug this thing in backwards? It's pretty easy. You know, I'm not saying that's what happened, but I imagine if you apply the power backwards, I mean, on most things, you're going to damage something pretty quick. Some things are protected, and some things are tolerant for a while. This radio, I don't know, if you plug the power in backwards, does it result in 23 videos? Maybe so. Maybe so. So, the big difference is I'm not going to rely on these kinds of power supplies, which are out of control, terribly regulated. And I have repaired my shop DC power supply. I'll round up applause. Here it is right here. And I have not been using it because although I could set it to the proper supply voltage of 4.5 volts, without any warning, this thing could jump to 15 volts. And that would not be good. A couple of volts, 6 volts, may not hurt it. 15 doesn't sound like a good idea to me. So I have not used this power supply in favor of using these little guys. But I've reached the point here where I've realized I do need to put in exactly the right voltage in order that I can look on the schematic, read the voltages on the schematic, and compare them against what I'm actually reading inside the set. With the little power supply, I was putting in 5.5 volts or something like that. I'm not even exactly sure, 5.3. And that resulted in the development of voltages in the very front end circuits of the radio, the on-off circuits, if I can call it that, which were anomalous. They did not match the schematic, and me not being all that experienced with this kind of stuff, I didn't know what to make of it. I don't know if those wrong numbers are telling me transistors are blown or what, because I know all the way along I'm driving it with too high a voltage. So that ends today. And so a big challenge right now is connect that power supply to this radio and don't get it reverse polarity. Now that's not too much of a challenge, but it's a 50-50 chance of getting this wrong. And I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that to this radio. Even if somebody did it before, I don't want to do it again. So first we got to figure out the polarity of the plug. And like a smart person, I unplugged this before checking which way the polarity was. And carrying on with that approach to things, I also unplugged the connector from this one and lost the polarity, knowing for sure how it was set. So I don't have a hint as to how it was. Like I say, this should not be too hard. It should say right on here. There it is. Little teeny tiny a little teeny tiny symbol there. Let's see if I can read it. Plus on the outside, negative on the center pin, negative on the center pin, negative on the center pin. So what we're going to do is, we're going to hook this guy up to my power supply randomly here and see if we get negative on the center pin. Also give me a chance to check the output voltage. The meter is okay, but it's not the most accurate meter going, that's for sure. In my shop, the one meter I rely on for precise measurements is the digital meter. Everything else a little questionable. A little bit questionable. So put this on, we'll dial up 5 volts. And now we'll see. Negative on the center. So let's turn this on. And set it to volts. That would be a good idea. Okay, let's read the pressure. And the pressure is 5.3 volts. Positive on the outside, negative on the inside. So I have the polarity right. 5.3 is a little high though. Let's set it right to 4.5. Let's do that. There we are, 4.5 volts. Supply voltage. Regulation on this supply is pretty good, so I think it'll stay right around there. I don't think it's going to drop much. Now, we're right at the point where we stopped the last video. The last video. Oh, there's another change. There's another change I'm making. This is actually a different connector from the one I was using. The connector I was using, slightly smaller diameter, fit a little more loosely into the plug here. This one fits fairly snug. So the other one was loose enough that it itself would lose contact occasionally if moved into a bit of an extreme position. This one will probably never lose contact. So I'm trying to eliminate all these silly, very, very front-end power problems so they don't compound my, the challenges I'm facing in trying to sort out what's happening here. Now, the last time I was working on this radio, I discovered that if you put the power supply in slow enough, the radio comes to life and it's soon to be consistent. So we're going to give it a try now. The radio is switched on, and I'm just going to put the power in. Let's see what happens. And true to form. Oh. True to form, it's doing something totally different. I can hear a hiss coming out of that speaker. It's probably too quiet. And I've noticed that my Logitech camera has noise canceling. It's so effective. You don't hear the fans in my computer, which are whizzing away all the time. I don't think you're going to hear this. I think my camera might actually not pick up certain radio sounds that I really wish it would. So the radio appears to be operating, but the volume's very low here. That's a whole new, it's a whole new world of hurt. Now let's make sure we're still at 4.5 volts, first of all. .2. So let's put it up to 4.5. Either my power supply is drifted, or the regulation isn't as good as I thought. So we're going to put this up to 4. This on to 4.5. Then I'll note the reading on this meter after that, which is the hair. I don't know if I can get it right on. There we are. Whoops, I bumped it. Bumped something. There we are. 4.47, 4.5 volts on the radio. Now why isn't it hissing like crazy? Like it has before. And what do we got? Oh, we got nothing at all on the screen. Okay, that's suggesting we don't have any battery power from the 3 volts here. Let me just, we don't need to look at that power supply anymore. I'll keep an eye on it. Now, let's see if the 3 volts shows up in the radio. Maybe I've got something not quite right here. Yeah, looks like no 3 volts. No 3 volts. How come? How come? We'll turn it off. Well, now, trying to figure out what happened to the 3 volts. I'm watching this meter here. It's not showing any voltage at all. It's a little odd. What happened? One battery's missing. Oh, that's the battery I found on the floor of my office earlier. Go get it. That explains that little mystery, as I found this laying on the floor in my office earlier. Now, let's be smart. Switch is off. I don't want to blast my ears. Volume down. You might wonder, Jim, why are you using a flashlight? Because it's actually fairly dark in here. I don't have the lights turned up. There we are. Okay. Just don't want to make any mistakes here, so I'm being ridiculously careful. Oh, barely sits in there. It's kind of weird. I heard the radio come on just now. How come this won't fit? I guess I'm bumping the on-off switch. Yeah, this thing's ready to go. It's anxious to go. There we go. Okay. Now, we will check for the 3 volts. Make sure it's there. Watching the meter. That's not 3 volts. 0.3 volts. How did that happen? How did we end up with 0.3 volts? How can that happen? 0.3 volts. Oh, okay. How can that be? My imagination, or is that battery warm? And that's not the one I just put in. It can't be. You know what? I smell something burning. Something burning somewhere. Son of a gun. I must have got a short on one of these batteries. Come on, radio, don't do this. This is a monster of a radio, man alive. Just as I'm closing in on this problem, it's starting to throw more stuff at me. What is burning in here? .4 on that battery. 0.4. Well, I can't imagine that's low enough to. That's got to still be enough juice here. Let's. Okay, it's working. So, so what's the problem? Oh, there's the problem. It left us just now. Okay. Way too much happened there just now. The switch was on, the radio was working, the switch was knocked off. I didn't see that. The radio continued to work for a few seconds as it has before, then it went out. Turn the radio back on, no radio. So, switch is on. The front panel has a display. It looks like it says 97 up there is what it looks like. Doesn't change with that switch. So the radio's frozen. So we will switch off, back on, switch off. No smell of funny burny stuff now. Pull the power out. Check the 3 volts again, just to be sure. Check the 3 volts. Okay, 3 volts are there. Now, if this is true to form, as I push this in, the radio will come on. Oh, shoot. Well, I could hear my power supply pick up a load. It's drawing current. Display is on, looks stupid though. Switch off. I'm watching this current meter up here. You can't see it. Seems to have dropped back a bit. Switch on. Okay. Switch off. Power out. Battery out. They don't feel warm this time. I don't know what happened there. It's kind of worrisome too. So, okay, battery in. Power's off. Power supply in. Power on. Give me the other power supply again. What happened to my consistent behavior? Okay. While it's operating, let's make some measurements here. I have to go get the circuit diagram. Okay, so I have the schematics now, and with the proper input voltage and the proper, I should be able to make some proper measurements now. So let's take a look at this Q27, our good buddy Q27. 4.5, 4.4, 3.7 in that order. Four point five. You don't want to miss this. 4.5. Okay, first, what is the supply voltage? It's more than 2. There we go. .46. So it's 4.5. Here we go. 4.46. That's the supply. 4.4. Exactly what you would expect. 3.7. Exactly what you would expect. Isn't this fantastic? My God, what an idiot I've been to be doing this with an incorrect input voltage. So we know that's correct. And I'll bet you everything else is going to read right. Now the other transistor, the other switching transistor, which is Q26, it should read, oh, 0. I'm not sure. Should be reading 0 on this pin. And you get 0.5 there. The other two, wow. Sorry you can't see the schematic here, but just following down from collector emitter, just looking for any voltage reference here. But there's nothing. Well, the radio's working. I mean, yeah, the digital side's not working properly. Wow. Okay. Do we dare turn it off? That's off. There it goes. Well, I certainly have introduced some problems here. I can see them in moving this lid on and off, on and off, on and off. This big flat wire, stiff wire here, yankee, 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 yankee. Sure enough, I yanked it right out here. I can see it's been pulled right out of the board there. So, we're gonna have to fix that. Oh boy. And guess who's arrived? Draper's arrived to our rescue. He's here. Draper's in the shop. Hey, you. Come here. Yeah, you. Come here. Come on. Up here. Come on. Come on. And guess what? Somebody else has come in the shop too, man. I'm catted out here. I got 2 cats in here now. I take it that my other cat wants to star in some of these videos. Here. Come here. I'm totally distracted by cats, so just hang on a second here. Come here. No, they're not cooperating today. I just ignore him. You know, if I ignore him, then he'll jump up here and get in my way. That's how this operates. And so total distraction. I've lost my whole train of thinking here. Oh yeah, that wire. See, I've already made one repair on it. I'll give you a close-up. In fact, this will help me too. It'll help me get a good close look at the situation here. Oh. Okay, Draper wants to check it out himself first. Okay, you know what? This radio comes to life with Draper here. Boy, I'll have cat scratches on my face. That's what'll happen. Okay, now. Are you gonna be in the way or out of the way? What are you gonna do here? Oh, you're gonna settle right in. Okay, okay, you want to stay here, but I gotta warn you. Occasionally, loud sounds suddenly appear. Okay. Let's carry on then. What was I doing? Totally, utterly distracted. Oh yes, I was gonna show you this problem here. How about a close-up look at Draper first? Come on, get your nose out of there. There we go. Anyway, is his dental okay? Okay, so we look down here, and you see the gray wire. That's one I did. See how it just goes up and ties to the cable? That was to accommodate what I thought might be a broken connection. But now, where that wire is coming out, you can see it's pulled right out. At least 2 wires, probably 3, have been tugged right out of the board. You know, that is not at all what I had in mind. Is it, Draper? He's watching another cat now. Look at how intent he is. Yeah, that's how intent he is. Yeah, he doesn't take direction well. Okay, Draper, look intent. Look intent. Draper, look directly into the camera. Hey, you. Look directly in the camera. That's the way. What a star. Yeah, I guess he thought I had some food or something. What a distraction. Well, I guess I gotta take a close look at the situation there, try and figure out how to repair that cable. Again, I don't want to lift this board off because there's a whole pile of cables that go with it. And I'll just introduce more and more trouble. I have the feeling there's nothing wrong with this radio. At all. What was originally wrong, if you remember way back, battery connections. Typical of this particular model, battery connections no good. I put in the wires here to work around the bad, unreliable battery connections. Maybe that's all that was wrong. And the rest of the time, I've been hunting for problems of my own making. I hate to suggest that, but I shouldn't say these things until we do a little more here. What do you think, Draper? What's your thoughts on this situation? Maybe you could point us to something here. Take this and point in the radio. Take it. Come on, take it. Grab it. Get a grip on it. That's it. Now point in the radio. No. Pick it up and point in the radio. What you think is wrong. Okay. That's it. That's all there is to it. I have a little bit of time to kill here as my soldering iron is just warming up. Okay, sorry to show you the back of my head. boy. I pulled at least 2 wires out. One of them I'd already repaired anyway. I put this jumper on. The second one, it sure looks pulled out. You know what it looks like? It looks like it was worked to the point where it broke. Because a number of times I open and close this thing. These wires are stupidly stiff. Well, it's a kind of a sad day here to fix that. That's a real challenge. And the challenge of it is I have to release all the tension. First of all, that means I got to close this part way and, you know, forever forward, never pop it open. Maybe I can cut those wires free of the cable, bring them around and resolder them onto the top of the board. I could do that with the entire cable. In fact, I could withdraw the entire cable from the board and reconnect it on the top. I'm not saying it's a good idea, I'm just saying it's something I could do. So I'm just trying to figure out options here before I, you know, when I was younger, I always just go with the first thing I think of. And usually towards the end of it, I think of all the rest of the things I could have been doing instead. So I try to get that thinking up front now. And I don't think it's human nature to really think things through and plan things out. It's human nature to get moving. There, see, it's also feline nature. Oh, that's where you think the problem is? Well, yeah, now that I think about it, the best move probably is to split this cable. You know, if I split it, kind of turn it into some individual wires, it's going to release a lot of the stress in here too. Don't step right in the radio. Sniffing out the electrons there, are you? Watch out for the soldering iron. It's giving that a good sniff. You get a warm nose there. And Draper's off into the other part of the shop. So now, so the next question would be, how do I split that wire? That's pretty tough plastic. And getting a tool in there is just going to do even more stress and strain on the cable. Oh, I don't know what to do here exactly. Draper, you're going to cause a huge crash over here. He's about to hockey something gigantic onto the floor. Oh, don't. Hey, I'm not alone today in my shop. Doesn't take much to distract me, does it? Well, I guess an X-Acto knife would be the best way to cut that. Meanwhile, with the radio off, I can hear the, I'm sure it's this. I hear a combination of sounds that probably are not coming across the microphone. High-pitched sounds. One is this, doing that pattern of trying to start up. And the other one is my power supply up here, which I'm now using. Makes a small whine too, out of one of the components in it. And I can hear that whine changing. So I think there's even as it's sitting here switched off, there's a draw on the power supply that varies a little bit from this thing trying to trigger. And I can't imagine that's normal. Well, and no other thoughts are coming to mind, so time now to take action. And the first action is I have to go and find where my X-Acto knives have gone. I'm pretty sure they're up in my son's room. So let me go get them.